Before we get started, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let us explain.
Anchor has the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast straight from your phone or computer.
When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more.
It is everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
And best of all, Anchor is totally free.
Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
So, Dan,
Yep.
how you been, buddy?
I've been okay.
Yeah, you seem a little down.
I've been sad.
Why?
A group of people haven't met my expectations.
The Snyder Cult?
I mean that's a given.
That's not...
but
Okay, wait.
a new group.
Who are we talking about?
Our fans.
What?
Yeah.
The
they
Guffs themselves?
They disappointed me.
How?
Attack on Anime, Part 3. But it's actually Part 2.
Did we name it too well? That they just
I
lost
think,
interest?
I think we did too good a job.
And what? They just didn't
They
interact
skipped-
with
they
us
skipped
about
right
it?
over
They
it.
skipped
They
over
skipped
it?
right over it. We can never talk about anime again.
I don't know what to say. I mean, anime is so important to us. Maybe not
I
like
know.
George, but like to us,
I
it's...
mean, he hates kids, but it's pivotal to us.
I know, but what are we gonna do?
I don't know. I think maybe they should repay us.
You think they could repay us by following on social media,
Yeah, they could
interacting there with us?
They could check Instagram at S4M Podcast and
Okay.
Twitter and Facebook.
Wow, and maybe go back and listen to that episode.
Yeah, that would be much appreciated.
Wow, and I mean, while you're on it, give us some money.
Yeah, just
We got some donation links,
please give us money.
and yeah, I think that'll turn Dan into a happy boy.
I would be much happier after that.
Awesome, I love you.
Love you too.
Welcome back to another episode of Searching for MacGuffin with your hosts,
George?
Dan,
Gabe,
Link.
Mark.
Doyake.
I'm Steve Grant. I'm so excited to be talking to you guys about today's episode of my favorite show in all the universe. It's called Moon Knight, and this guy from Disney Plus gave me a lot of money to just talk, pretend to be me, and sometimes take a nap with a chain around my ankle.
Steve, I'm gonna need you to stop there. They don't need an introduction to this show. They listen weekly.
Oh, okay. Buggers.
So this week we'll be talking about, and hopefully all of our listeners / viewers, according to Link,
And Steve.
and Steve, have been able to catch up and watch Moon Knight. It finished not this past week, a week before that, right? But we were busy talking about Doctor Strange too.
And
So
how
if-
much Danny loves that movie.
I
Yeah.
love that movie.
Yeah.
He said it. That's on the internet forever.
Yeah.
Well, kind of until you post.
That
it,
was
so.
for you, Panda Man.
So if you haven't got a chance to listen to Moments in the Multiverse of Madness, which the title of the episode, I think I got wrong twice on the episode itself, go ahead and listen to that, because we're talking some more Marvel.
Actually, I think that was wrong.
What?
I
No,
think that
what I
was-
just said
Yeah,
right
I think
now?
That was still wrong.
Yeah.
Moments of what?
It's moments in the multiverse.
That's not what I just said?
No, you
Moments
said
of?
moments.
Of?
I mean, why would
I mean that.
Yeah, you're right.
Man,
You're right.
You're a good producer. You remembered
you.
this.
Yeah, okay. So,
High five.
anyways, watch the Doctor Strange episode. Oh, what's called Multiverse of Madness? I mean, that's not what it's called. Stop correcting me. Okay, anyways.
It's called Mom. That's what it's called. The acronym.
A mom.
Oh, because it came out on Mother's Day weekend.
You
What
wanna
was
give
that?
us-
What was that?
Can you do me a
Steven?
favor and
It came
speak
out
into
on
the
Mother's
mic?
Day weekend.
He's
What?
like
it's
Link
Mom.
and Steve simultaneously.
Yeah, somehow. So Moon Knight finished just a few short days ago, and what were you guys? What was your mindset going into Moon Knight, the series. What was your previous knowledge or experience going into it? What did you know about Moon Knight?
Bro, I didn't know anything. Well, that's not true. I read like maybe an issue or two.
Mhm.
I thought he was cool as a kid, but then I was also lost when like the Egyptian god was talking,
Mm-hmm.
and like I didn't really read. I always thought that like him as a character, not like any merits of his own, like because I didn't know the story enough. But I always thought he was like cool looking and like abilities were cool. I always thought that was pretty. It seemed cool to me. He was like some sort of like take on Batman for me.
Yeah,
I
like
guess.
Marvel
Yeah.
Batman.
That's what people told me though. They were like, "Oh, this is Marvel's Batman."
Is he though?
I don't.
Because I would say Marvel's Batman is Daredevil.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree. So I was lied to.
Okay, so here's the thing. They're both like two sides of Batman, you know? I think that for me, Moon Knight growing up, it was very street level. It was very I inherited some like 1970s comics that were I'm pretty sure your dad's, Gabe, that they were just like in the closet.
Man, you keep saying these stories, and I'm just like, who is my dad? Like, what are you talking about?
Secret life that he lived before you were born.
When he was Steve Gaunt.
Oh, maybe he has multiple. You know what? That would actually explain a lot. We should probably.
Does
He listens to the show.
Yeah, we should unpack that somewhere else.
Wait, he does?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, good family. Unlike others, which I'm calling out here for no reason, because clearly we just established they don't listen to the show, so I don't know why.
They're not
I would
gonna
guilt-
hear that.
Yeah,
so.
guilt trip them.
Like our parents. Oh, except for Gabe's.
Yeah, I don't expect their parents to listen.
Did
to
she
the
ask
show.
you about that?
My mom?
Yeah.
No, I've never told my mom about this.
No, like
she actually doesn't even know you have.
I told like because I mentioned to my mom, she's like, "Where are you going all the time?" I'm like, "Oh, I gotta record the podcast. That's where I'm going."
Seems suspicious.
And-
Where are you going?
And she's just like, "What do you like?" I don't
What's
think,
a podcast?
Yeah, she didn't know what a podcast was.
¿Y qué es podcast?
I don't have time to explain that in Spanish
And then
to my mom.
and so
That's why I haven't
she's
told
like,
her.
"What do you mean?" Like, yeah, like it's like a show that we do, and she couldn't really wrap her head. She's like, "Where is it? Like, where can I see it?" And I'm like, "Well,
she's
as
like,
a viewer,
where can I see it?
as a viewer, you can't really see it, but you can listen to it." And she's like, "On what?" I'm like, "Spotify." She's like, "¿Qué?"
Yeah.
¿Y qué es el
It's like,
Spotify?
yes.
Exactly. I'm not gonna.
And so,
Share
but she
my-
was upset with me for not telling her that I was on a show.
See,
So-
my mom thought I had a secret girlfriend, but I was like, no, mom, my love life is dead. So I'm gonna hang around with 3 guys and talk about random crap.
Yeah. I don't know why she can't just understand that.
Yeah,
It's
man.
priorities.
It
I'm
should be
so sad.
It'd just be too complicated for me to explain to my mom what I'm doing and how she can listen to this, because I know she'd be super proud and want to listen to it all the time.
Even though she would have no idea what we're talking about.
But
Rack
she
up
won't know
them
exactly.
listens.
She would just listen to it. But I'm like, it's too much work. I'm not gonna tell her anything. So please, no one tell her.
All right, Link's mom. If you eventually listen to this show, please like or subscribe on Facebook, I guess.
How did we get here?
Yeah, I don't know. We were talking
Happy
about
Mother's Day.
Yeah, we're still
Belated.
celebrating.
But it's a week late.
The experience with Moon
My
Knight.
parents.
Yeah. And then also the bargain bin. Like when you're a kid, you got like a nickel. Back in the day, I don't think a nickel can buy you anything now. But you had like a nickel in the bargain bin, a quarter, you know, and you get whatever books are like overrun. Or you go to like a wholesale, like a Costco or a BJ's, and they just stack like 100 comics and put them like in a bag. They don't do this anymore, I don't think. But
Costco
Yeah.
do that.
But you used to buy it, and it would just be random stuff, and it'd be random issues in the middle of random stories and whatever. You just had to piece together.
It was like watching cartoons on
Yeah,
on cable.
exactly. And it was like those recaps that are so annoying when you read comics. Yeah, those were critical. Yeah. And then you always just left like they had a cliffhanger, and you were like, man, that's how the story ends for me. I'll never find out what happened.
That's literally how Avatar was for me. Like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was like a super climactic ending to
Yeah.
it, and I'm just like, and I never saw it until like years later when I was a little grown up and I had more resources to watch it, and I'm like, oh, so that's what happens. Wow, it's like
Oh,
an unresolved trauma
Was
that happens
it at the end of season 2?
when Appa gets.
Oh, when I.
Oh,
yeah, that's
spoilers,
big.
spoilers.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
another
I didn't finish. I
conversation.
didn't finish.
Yeah,
All right,
another
Yeah,
continue.
we're
Sorry.
gonna ruin the Netflix show.
Yeah, like they need our help.
So going back to your question about him being Batman. So Daredevil's like the guilt-ridden, like knuckles to the street Batman type, but Moon Knight is like the flashy, like cape and batarangs, you know, moonarangs, and like the more, I don't know, 70s Moon Knight feels like more in tune with 70s Batman, if that makes sense. I don't know. There's just aspects there. There's no such thing as a Marvel Batman.
superhero. Like it was the superhero aspect of Batman, and I guess Daredevil's more the crime fighter aspect.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a good way to
Not
put it.
as supernatural, yeah.
So I was not lied to.
No. But that's definitely not what we got here, but we'll talk about that.
I was
No, but
expecting some
Disney lied to you,
elements of that, of Batman-esqueness, but
It's a funny word.
Batman-esqueness.
Okay, so what were your expectations?
Like I said, I expected it to be similar to Batman, small, grounded like Daredevil. I didn't expect it to be so supernatural with all the I mean, I know he has his background is with
Mhm.
Egyptian gods. I just didn't expect that to play so much. But it was cool to get his origin. So in a way, so yeah, that's what I expected.
It was Oscar Isaac. I was sold.
We were
I was
I was
so-
excited for that.
I was sold from the jump. I also heard a lot. Not a lot. I was reading that Kevin Feige was speaking about the show.
Mhm.
And saying that it'd be different, saying that it was gonna. Dan, I believe you mentioned it earlier. I have a better quote, I think, than me.
Oh, you said we're pushing the. Oh, I don't know.
PG-13
The
rating,
Yeah, we're
yeah, the
pushing the
boundaries.
limits of PG-13.
which is like TV PG.
Yeah,
right?
like-
I think that's
like-
the TV
I
rating.
guess like must like inferring like brutality and
And I was
violence
like,
on that level.
hmm.
And I
Well,
was
the
like,
way he beat up that monster in the first
Oh.
episode, I knew.
yeah, I mean that's true.
That
Well,
did happen.
Well, okay, so when the first trailer came out, which I'm pretty sure we talked about back in our first monthly,
That was the first month?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was the second.
The second one? Oh, okay, the first one was the Doctor Strange trailer, and the first one was the Moon Knight. The second one was the Moon Knight trailer. I don't know, just go back and listen to all the monthlies again, and we'll just cheap plugs.
Nice plug.
Yeah. We talked about when that first trailer dropped, and they had that shot where he's like beating up, like on the ground, like just punch. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be brutal, because I just figured it was like a guy.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah, but it totally wasn't. It was like a monster, and for some
Yeah.
reason that's less brutal. Like,
I'm
'cause
beating up the CGI.
Yeah, exactly. You're not beating up a person's face. Like, it wasn't the Batman, for example, when he's like caving a dude's face in. Although there was very little caving.
They did a good job.
I think it's called spelunking.
No, that was in The Dark Knight. There
Oh.
was lots of spelunking there.
I think they did a good job.
Yeah.
But I did want more. I did want it. I don't know. I guess part of me unrealistically wanted the level of Daredevil.
I don't. Well,
Whatever.
yeah, that
Which
is
unre-
unrealistic.
yeah,
Yeah, that
exactly.
is
But
unrealistic.
I wanted it to be as close as they could get it. But
It's interesting what Link said about the supernatural element, because again, like, if you know his origin, the Egyptian god, it's where he gets his powers and everything. But I thought that stuff would be more like in the background.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting.
You know,
that's
Because every Moon Knight comic that I've read, it's been in the background.
yeah. And I feel like there's also like this thread in a lot of the runs that I've read where it's like, is Mark crazy? Is there really an Egyptian god? And like, usually the way it's presented, you don't see Khonshu.
I would have liked that.
Like, yeah, you don't see Khonshu like take a physical form or at least as definitive as it was, especially early on in the series. But I think we're gonna talk about that as we move through the series. So I really got a show different than what I expected it to be, and I guess that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but we'll unpack how you guys feel about expectations versus what we actually got. So what was your initial reaction to the show?
I guess.
Like the first episode?
Yeah, episode 1.
Or
right?
or the overall.
Okay, so are we going?
I think first episode.
Yeah,
I think,
for,
yeah.
Your
first
first
episode.
initial
Yeah.
like.
So we're gonna talk about, if you're listening to this show, I assume you've seen at least the first episode, right? So we're gonna talk a little bit about what it was like that first week. Maybe we'll have like a quick review,
spoiler-free.
spoiler-free review for a few moments, and then we're gonna get right into it,
Yeah.
right? So I guess after that first episode, yeah, what was your initial?
Dude, I remember
response?
how it ended.
I was. It ended right before he transforms, or
He transforms for the first time.
yes.
Yeah.
Before he
It ends
transforms
with
for
that
the-
scene that we just talked about.
Yeah, him.
Punching in.
Vengeance.
You
He
know
has
what?
a conversation in the bathroom with his other self,
Yeah,
and then he
yeah.
punches that thing.
I'll even start with the beginning. him like Ethan Hawke stepping on glass.
Yes.
I thought that was great.
I thought it was a great intro.
thought
That was
I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
that was
setting the
good.
tone. All right.
Mhm.
I don't remember.
It drew me in.
He crushes the glass,
in his
puts it in
Crocs?
his sandals,
He
Crocs.
crushes the glass. He crushes the glass and steps in it
In his
Crocs,
Crocs?
and he puts it in sport mode.
I don't remember any of this.
Wait, what is he saying?
Ethan Hawke was
Oh,
wearing
that's
his
what-
Crocs.
He put that. They're not.
Oh,
Crocs.
that's it. Okay. You almost gaslit me there. I was like, was he
He's
wearing
wearing
Crocs?
Crocs?
He put it in sports mode.
He put it in sport mode.
It makes sense though. It's a Nile.
It was. Well, he actually crushed it with a Croc, though, no, right? Because his cane has like a Croc at the
He
Yeah.
end.
crushed the Croc
You know-
to put it in the Croc.
Bruh.
He crushed it with a Croc, and then he put it
He
in.
crushed it with a Croc to put it in the Croc.
What a
This is
Croc!
exciting
I
information.
wonder if he smoked crack.
What?
That's a completely different
Yeah,
word.
that escalated quickly and wasn't even on topic. So he crushes that glass. He puts it in his shoes, right, and then he walks like to pay penance. Not the other Marvel character named Penance, but to pay penance. And then that's it. And then the next opener is really good after the titles with the song when he wakes up in the alarm. and he's all tied up. Like, I was sold right away.
I think they got that artist to chart. It's like a song from the 60s.
Is it the Fantastic Force?
Nah,
No?
unfortunately not.
Because I'm pretty sure they charted in the 60s.
We got to listen to them one day.
Yeah. Listening party.
I have nothing to say. I just
You know
Okay.
what? I think at first, 'cause obviously we meet Steve first.
Yeah.
Hello.
I think since the trailers, I don't know if I was on board with the accent.
Right.
I know that part was it took a little like getting used to for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like for people that aren't British, I feel like it could be pretty tough. There are obviously actors that can do it,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like in some instances I can just tell. It kind of sounds like, oh, this person's doing an accent. But I think it was something I had to get used to because I think, or maybe just his tone, the way that he sounds, like his vocal, like his
Yeah.
vocals.
This was a controversial point, right? Like a lot of people
A
were
lot of
complaining about
people
this.
were,
I don't
yeah.
know if other people were here
Yeah.
or talking about it, but
Twitter.
for me it was like, like his vocabulary and everything, like how he's saying it, like I think is what he's saying is fine, but how he's saying it was throwing me off a bit. But for me, it just took a bit to get used to.
Kind of remind his take on this on Steve kind of reminded me of I don't know if you've ever watched the IT Crowd, Richmond, the
Yeah.
goth guy. He kind of sounded like him, so that threw me off guard a bit.
Do you guys know what his inspiration for this voice was?
I'm gonna say Richmond from the IT Crowd.
No, actually, because I had read that he based it on this guy that Ricky Gervais knows. There's a show called An Idiot Abroad where Ricky Gervais has this friend, him and Stephen Merchant have this friend that they just know from real life that they think he's like the stupidest, like the least cultured person. And they think that he's like a kind heart, like a good soul, but he's just super uneducated. So he's like xenophobic, like by mistake. Like it doesn't come out of cruelty. He's just like, oh, this is the world he lives. The really like small life that he has is the only life that he knows. So this show, like Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais just pay to like send him all over the country. I mean, all over the world to different countries and like expose him and then just laugh at like all his stupid comments because he's just an idiot, doesn't know everything that's different. Like he just hates it and just complains about it. And that's basically so he has a very specific accent, and that's what Oscar Isaac supposedly had based this on. So he's
Really?
like, yeah,
Oscar Isaac is a legend. Then
yeah. So he's supposed to be.
It's
So
even better.
It's
Yeah.
cool that he likes British comedies. Then
You know what it is? I think that by the end of the show, it's like the accent kind of helps make the character for me. I think it becomes obviously a part of him. Like, because obviously the way you speak, I don't know if people think twice about it unless they have a very distinct voice.
right.
Unless it's very different, like you can actually tell. But like normally you think of a character, it's like you don't think very much about their voice. But I think for me, in the sense that like I noticed, like I had an issue with the accent at first.
Right.
I think it grew on me, and it became a staple for that character.
And I
for
think
Steve.
they also provide a rationale for it, which we'll get into.
Steven.
later.
Am I saying Steve? Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's okay if you call him Steve. You guys are close. He's on the show right now. Stephen Grant. This name has always been a problem for me. It's from the comics, but it just bothers me because like that's Captain America's name. Like Steve's middle name is Grant. So I always think about Captain America when somebody talks about Stephen Grant. No, that's it. Okay.
Did you say? What did you say about
What?
the comics?
Steve Rogers? His middle name is Grant.
Steve Grant. Right.
Wow.
Stephen
Yeah.
Grant
I didn't
Rogers.
know that.
Yeah.
Steve Vin, right? Is it
I'm-
just Steve?
I think it's. Well, I don't know. Is anybody just named Steve? Anybody named Steve who listens to the show, just put it in the
Hit
comments.
us up.
Hey, Steve.
Is your name
Check out
Steve?
at
Is it
S4M
Steven with a V?
podcast
Well, it's
on
actually Steve.
Instagram.
Don't know
It's
why people always
Steven-
call me Steven,
Or
but
Stephen
Steve.
Strange, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna call him Steve Strange.
That sounds. It's funny how it just rolls off your tongue, like yeah.
That's what Wong calls him, bro. He's just like on
Steve.
Stevie. He calls him Stevie.
Stevie.
Yeah.
Stevie
Or-
Strange.
Stevie
That's a cool
Strange.
name.
Or Stev.
Sounds
He
like
calls
a
him Stev.
old
No?
school cartoon.
Stevia?
Stevie Strange.
Call him Stevia.
Stevia Strange.
What about the rest of you? First episode. What was your initial reaction? Week 1.
I do want to talk about the CGI. That was the only problem I had with the episode.
Wait, episode 1.
I liked it. I was like, oh, this is a solid start.
Mm-hmm.
But the CGI kind of took me out of that fight scene.
Yeah, I think you guys alluded to this in an earlier episode last week, probably.
Yeah.
What bothered you specifically about the CGI?
It was kind of surprisingly pretty bad. And I don't know if I was just paying too much attention, too close
It
attention.
was like bad in the sense where it's like the motions of the vehicles
And
did not seem natural.
shading
So we're talking about
felt-
the car.
yeah, the car.
There's
chase.
like a car. Yeah, the car. Okay, and obviously, like, are they really gonna go on the mountainside of a
Yeah,
cliff, like
that's
to really
fine.
like throw cars off?
Yeah,
off of
an
it?
18-wheeler.
Yeah, like I completely understand, but I'm saying like, I think for me when I first saw it, I was like, this doesn't. It just didn't look natural to me,
Right.
And I feel like
the lighting was off, and it looked
and I think
out
that's
of place.
yeah, I think
and
that's a
was
problem
like,
for me. I
"Huh."
think it's like distinguishing is like this is a TV show,
Right,
This isn't the
absolutely.
same. This isn't the same budget and production of a film. So I think I have to understand that, and I think I was fine after. I was like, you know what, like I get it.
Yeah.
I think I had to talk it over with you guys
Right.
because when I first saw it, it was a bit jarring.
Yeah, because we were basically simultaneously watching this, and like you guys sent a message like, "Oh, this car, scene is rough," and I was just like, you're right, but I don't care because like this show looks way better than like half the shows on TV.
No, yeah, I mean that's the thing. And after that, there's no big glaring issues with the CGI
Yeah.
anymore.
You know what I
they
think
aren't
another thing is?
horrible.
It's like broad daylight.
Yeah.
That's
like
the
I feel
problem.
like-
Yeah,
I
uh-huh.
feel like a lot of these shows are like either nighttime or even where there's not a lot of light, so it's
There's
like,
not a lot of
there's-
lighting.
You get more. There's more. It's more forgiving.
Yeah, and,
But in broad daylight, like
and that's why I wanted to, like, kind of give it the benefit of the doubt because some of these shows I get upset with, like the low lighting,
it's ambitious.
and I know you guys always tell me to watch Extant. Is that the name of the show? No, The Expanse.
The Expanse.
Actually, no, yeah. People tell me to watch The Expanse, and then I accidentally watched Extant with Halle Berry
What is
on
that?
Amazon Prime. Don't worry about it. It's not The Expanse. Anyways, this show has like The Expanse has like that blue lighting filter, like, and it uses low lighting all the time.
No, it gets better.
Oh, okay.
They get-
Well, I
they
didn't
get
make it
a-
past season 1 because
They
of
get
that.
a.
They got a
well,
budget.
I think it's halfway through season 2. They got.
The CW shows did this a lot, where it was like most of the show takes place at night.
the big fights happen at night.
Yeah, because it's like you don't really have to light it, and you can't really tell what's
Which
going on.
makes sense. I never thought of it before. I just
Yeah.
thought it was like a thematic thing. Like,
Yeah. And then there's because if you notice, for example, The Dark Knight, which you expect a Batman movie to take place, but they got the budget and the lighting and the directorial eye.
To shut down Chicago.
Yeah, you could argue that the movie takes place too much in the day because you can light it better, So it's funny. It's like not a thematic. It fits for shows like Arrow, etc. I don't know about Flash. Flash seems like a hero that takes place a little more in the day,
Yeah.
in the
Flash
city,
seems
vibrant.
bright, yeah.
So they use this low lighting in
Hence,
the episodes.
hence the
that are dark.
CGI though. That
Exactly.
makes sense. So.
Yeah.
Exactly. We had this complaint with the finale for Game of Thrones, like that final season when they had the big fight in the snowstorm in the dark,
Oh my
and I didn't know what was going on.
I don't think anyone did. Like
Yeah.
I was in a dark room trying to watch. I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
But
So these are the things they do to kind of hide these things, and Moon Knight's kind of like, we got the money, we're gonna do it in the day, but not everything's gonna seem great. I did have comments about the CGI throughout the series. Once we get into the full discussion, what was your initial reaction, real quick? Link, first episode.
he doesn't remember.
Man, London must be great because you're telling me that someone who works at a museum can afford an apartment or a basement,
A flat.
That's
Flat.
pretty impressive, man. You can't do that here in Miami, so that's what caught my attention.
He lives in a what?
He lives in a flat. He can afford it.
It's just in a flat. He looks like he lives in an attic.
Yeah, look, that's why I said. Oh, I said basement. I meant
Yeah.
attic. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's what caught my attention. He can afford that with
His
the
terrible apartment.
with the salary of a.
Yeah, but location.
Yeah, that's why.
It's all
I feel
about
like
location.
even if it's trash, I feel like the location.
It's
is still
not in the
expensive.
suburbs. It's right there in the.
Oh,
Did he?
well, who
Man-
else is gonna work in
Man,
the
the other
museum?
day I saw like a YouTube video of this YouTuber who has like a $2.5 million apartment that looks like it's like a 2-bedroom or something, and it does not look like
Wow.
$2.5 million.
Location.
I don't know. It's just sometimes those prices are astronomical.
Okay, so before we get into the details, overall response. What'd you think of the show as a whole?
Better binge.
Oh yeah, I would
If
agree
you're
with that.
binging,
I think
congrats.
that's everyone.
Yeah,
You
is that
got
unanimous?
Yeah, I think that's every Disney
Yeah.
Plus show.
Yep.
Better binge.
I think.
Huh.
Oh,
I don't know about that.
Nah,
no, I was
I
agreeing with him, but that means I would
liked
have to do
WandaVision.
it
I think I
for
like
the next
WandaVision.
show.
I'm trying to think now. I'm trying to think what I said on the other episode. If I said WandaVision was good, was better to binge. I think. I mean, the only reason I can think of that I would say that is like the factor of like that it has like that sitcom weekly.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
like, that
it
like
feels
buys
like
into it, but maybe like once
the themes might get lost.
that's done, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Loki was good weekly. I didn't really.
I
have a
thought
problem
Loki was
waiting
good
for it
weekly.
to
I
go.
wasn't like, oh no, when's the? I'm confused. I don't know.
Hawkeye, I was kind of fine with it.
Okay, here's the reason why I think this is a better binge because I'm tend to be a week to week. I feel like I didn't know how to feel about the show week to week.
That's what happened with
Yeah.
this show.
It
I'm
isn't-
sure.
I,
Yeah.
I think it's very similar like Book of Boba Fett.
Yes,
feel like that would have been
exactly,
a better-
binge.
It's a show that comes together at the end instead of like building enough individually, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like once you get to the point where because at the end of each episode week to week of this show, I was like, how do I feel about this?
Exactly.
I don't really know what's going on.
Mhm.
We don't have a lot of episodes left. Are they really gonna tie it
Yes,
in?
and there was an anxiety to that. Like how we already halfway through the show, and I feel like we're just ramping up. How are there 2 episodes left in the show? How are we in the last episode of the show? And
I think it's the same thing with Boba Fett.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yes, that's
Because
true.
it's even the same episode number, I think.
Yeah.
I think 5 is where I'm like, oh, okay.
Mhm. So,
Yeah, but I think it also has to do with expectations.
yeah. So I would say roller coaster ride for me in relation to how I felt week to week. So if you haven't seen this and you're logging off now from this, you're not on the call. But if you're stopping to listen to
Bye.
the show, just go watch it all at once. Okay, don't delay. And if you
Everything.
don't
Be
feel,
safe.
if you're not feeling it,
Everywhere.
3 or 4 episodes in, just power through to the end.
It's
Good.
worth it.
Yeah.
It rewards you. It really does.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Okay.
this is it.
This
Spoiler
is
time?
your spoiler warning.
Spoiler time. All right, in 3, 2, 1. All right, guys. I don't know about you. I was super surprised about Deadpool showing up.
It was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
Like when Deadpool and Moon Knight fight, it was
I don't remember that.
That was
part,
crazy.
man.
And then they get
the crazy
married.
thing is I could say that and Link would be like, "Wow,
I
I didn't remember
I
that
don't
part at
remember
all."
that part at all.
All right. If you actually watch the
Yeah,
show,
we caught you. We
Yeah.
caught you. We know.
Okay, so if you didn't, Deadpool does not come out. Okay, or does he? Wait till after the credits.
Bum, bum.
Are we going straight into like content rating? What are we?
Do you want to rate it? And
I
then
think we did last time, right? We
Yeah.
rated.
I
Okay.
can rate it.
All right, go.
Are we rating it out of 5?
10.
10.
Oh, okay.
10. You first.
No, really? You
Oh,
gonna put
I,
me on the
said,
spot?
I could set the tone.
Nah, I feel like there's a lot of times where like we go first, and then George has this like
He gets to
George
adjust.
had George not adjust. He
No.
has his answer, but at the same time, it's like it's something I wouldn't have thought of how to answer it. So I want to hear what he has to say.
I feel like I might bury the lead if I say it because you're gonna. I don't know.
I
You're
have
gonna
a
be
number in
surprised.
mind.
Nah, go.
You sure you don't go down in the?
No, go.
Okay. 9.
Ooh.
I like it.
A high start.
That's-
Alright,
Yeah, that's yeah.
Dan,
I figure you're not there.
7.5.
Okay.
Link,
7.
7.57, 9. I go 8.5.
Actually, you know
Should have
what?
just gone 6.
I take that back. I go 6.8.
No way.
No, we're
Nah,
not
nah.
using the
We're
point.
not
Yeah,
using
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Nah.
You either
You already
pick-
answered.
Nice try, IGN. All right.
You already answered.
What do you
That's
mean
a
we can't
7.
use point?
We-
You use 7.5.
No,
Yeah,
point
but
5
we
is
can't use
okay.
point
Yeah.
8.
Point 8.
We're
let's just get outta
rounding
here,
if you
yeah.
pick 0.8. That's
Yeah.
a 7.
Oh, then I'm
that's
gonna
a
round to
7.
6.5.
Okay, that's
You're just changing to match Danny, or wait, no, what did you say?
that's a 7.5.
Oh, 7.5. Really? So you think it's like a D? You think it's not good?
You think it's a 65?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, I think it's like a C, right?
Yeah.
It's alright.
I know my opinion
No,
might be
I
a
mean-
controversial opinion.
Like a teacher looks at my grade, she's like, 75.
Yeah, 75. Exactly. Yeah, that's what I make when I don't really want to like look over. I just give it a 75.
All right, so Link's rating was a 7.5. Got it.
A 7.
See, it went up.
It's just
Yeah, it
All
went
right.
up.
So it's a C.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. My pick might be controversial, but I love this show to death. I love it, and I think I hated it like halfway through it. There's probably 2 points where I hated it. Probably episode 2, I had serious doubts, and then episode 4, I thought I was gonna hate the show.
That's the one where he meets Conchu?
The one where he dies.
What?
It was before
Is
he
that every
died.
episode?
Well, that's true. But episode
Yeah,
4
the
he gets
part
shot.
where-
at
Oh, the end.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
You're right.
Okay. So, all right, let's talk about it. Let's break it down. Let's go through this journey. We don't have to do episode by episode, but
I don't even remember what happens in episode 2. So honestly, just fill me in real quick.
Okay.
okay,
sorry.
going back to the end of episode 1, I was like, good start, great, awesome, cool. He's in the suit, he
gets the suit on,
transforms,
okay.
and then I don't think is Moon Knight even in episode 2, is it?
Bro, I don't think it comes to like 3 or end of 2.
Right,
Of 2.
3 is the one where they like spear him 7 times.
No.
They
No.
shoot him? Don't they shoot him?
Okay,
How many times did he die?
how many times did Moon Knight come out in the show?
No, he dies one.
No,
I don't know,
he
he
survives
got
just fine.
stabbed,
But
like,
that fight
80
where
times.
Steven's, where Mr. Knight is like, all right, guys, time out, like, peace. Oh, spear,
People
take over
hated
the
that,
body.
man.
I kind of did.
I mean, it was alright.
Okay. actually want to talk about that. Why did you hate it?
Why did I hate it? Okay, first of all, they cut right to the chase in episode 1. All right, Moon Knight's here, so Moon Knight's on the show, and then they sideline Moon Knight. Then I actually went back, and I mentioned this in my recommendations on the last monthly. I read the Warren Ellis stuff, and I got to know what Mr. Knight was about. And then the way they presented him, they kind of just threw you in. Like, they haven't even sold us on Moon Knight, and now there's 2
Yeah,
Moon
now I'm
Knights.
seeing Mr. I didn't like that either. I
Yeah.
was like,
So
I
your
wanna-
problem was like the characters, not necessarily the comedic aspect in a
No,
fight,
I
serious
think it was
situation.
cheesy. I think it
No,
was cheesy.
yeah,
I think it was
I agree
stupid.
with
I
that.
think Steven was so stupid that it was like unbelievably stupid.
It was frustrating because
Yeah.
you're like, how is this guy?
like,
such
for
an
example,
idiot?
let's say Steven's innocence, like that he doesn't want to kill anyone. He doesn't want to. That makes all the sense in the world. But also, you're not in the middle of like a drug deal, and you're like, guys, let's just turn ourselves into the police. You know what I mean? You don't rationalize that the world around you is just gonna do what you want. And then back to the CGI. This is when I realized, oh, all the Moon Knight stuff is gonna be CGI.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's bad, but usually there's a balance there between physical and CGI. And it was like, oh no, like Oscar Isaac is never gonna be in the suit. Yeah, it's
That-
just gonna be like, oh, he becomes Moon Knight and now he's a CGI character.
I think that was the biggest gripe for
That
me.
was very frustrating
was
for me.
like, man, I want to see someone in a suit,
yeah,
and this CGI suit wasn't doing it for me. I
Mhm.
thought it looked cool, but it's like I want a physical suit for this
Yeah.
because I wanted it to be more grounded. But I guess that's not where the show went, anyways.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I was expecting the show to be grounded, and it was like, in my mind at the time, way off the rails. Now by the end of the show is so far gone off the rails that I understand. Oh, that's what the show is.
Yeah.
So it's like the pitch doesn't come to the finale. With that being said, there is a moment in, again, I think it's episode 3 where he gets speared.
I can tell you now.
Okay, go ahead.
So you're talking about the one he gets speared?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's episode 3.
Okay, in episode 3, he finally takes off the mask while he's in the suit. Superhero trope number 47, right? Because we need to see the actor's face. And then, for the first time, that's Oscar Isaac dressed up as Moon Knight. And it's just so clearly like, oh, it was CGI, and now it's Oscar Isaac in a suit, and now the mask goes back, and he's a CGI character. And it was a disconnect for me.
I thought, I agree. I think, but even just that one little part where he's just like getting stabbed and you see Oscar Isaac in the suit, I love that part. I thought it was great. And I mean, then
Another thing,
Steven comes out, but
another thing I didn't like about that part is he gets speared like 8 times and then is able to just like, take him up. I I feel like he was too invulnerable too quickly. Like the audience doesn't. Oh man, if he can get stabbed this many times and just walk away from the fight, you're gonna really have to ramp up.
Also,
the
like
I didn't
challenge.
understand the character yet.
Yeah,
So I
They're
was like,
spearing. They're
I didn't even understand.
They're spearing him with lances.
Yeah.
That was just like
what?
a
Odd
weird
choice.
thing that everyone is proficient in. Like
Yeah.
all these guards like went to lancing school. Like
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what they were doing, right? Like, weren't they training the guy?
they
Yeah,
were
but
watching that
it's
guy. They're
almost-
bodyguards.
Yeah,
like,
but it's almost like the world was built so that we could have this specific action set piece. You know what I mean?
And have him impaled 8 times.
I asked that question previously. What you thought about that part where Steven comes out and makes the joke or whatever. Because I have seen a lot of people complain about, and I mean people complain about everything, but I have seen this one be a little prevalent where they feel like Marvel doesn't really take anything seriously.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of like there's a lot of situations where there's dramatic fights or things like you're supposed to feel tension, and then Marvel just tends to break it with some piece of comedy. So I was interested in seeing what your thoughts were on that.
I disagree with that. I feel like in really good moments, Marvel does know how to be serious.
I agree with that. I think that Marvel doesn't know how to be serious. I think they ruin.
You agree with what I said? Or
Yeah,
what Dan
I agree
said?
with what you said.
Okay.
Yeah, I disagree with Dan. I don't think it's to the level that some people make it out to be, because I do think what Dan says is true. Like Ravager Funeral,
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
it has good serious moments.
Tony's Sacrifice. There's epic moments. We could go down the line. There's probably like 15, 20
Mhm.
of them. You know what I mean? But there are some that like jokey joke has to come right after.
Yeah, I mean,
And this happened. I had this conversation with a friend. This happened in Eternals, and it bothered me so much. And then he was like,
What, the whole movie?
Yeah, the whole movie bothered me. But it happens multiple times where they don't take something seriously. They make a joke.
No Way Home, like they just took every serious part and they did wonders with it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there was no like stupid jokes.
Because Sony's really good at it. Anyways,
Morbius was fantastic.
so my friend was like, "No, they do that all the time, though." And I guess it's if you're not enjoying what you're watching, then it bothers you,
It's more prevalent. You
right?
notice
But
it.
if everything around it is good, you're like, because also if the joke is funny,
You can laugh
you're
it
like,
off.
oh, I just cried, and also, okay, now I feel good. It's just a movie, guys. So I think it works. It's just like it's a fine line. Sometimes they fail. Sometimes
I agree. It is hit or miss. I do agree with that.
Link,
Link, you have like a
the,
frown, you have a
resident-
frowny face.
yeah.
I don't.
the resident
I'm curious
expert in
that-
comedy.
yeah.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, how do you feel about Marvel's comedy?
I agree with Dan. I think whenever they know how to do it right, and when they joke around, sometimes it's hit or miss. But it'd be like, it'd be something I do to ease the tension for me.
Sounds like you agreed with me, but then gave credit to agreeing with them.
No,
Well, I think we all agreed.
What?
People hate it when we all agree.
Wait, how do we all agree?
Because I mean, his point makes sense. My point makes sense. Link's points make sense.
Okay, do you think it's because maybe some of the things that have been coming out recently aren't as like stacked as what we've gotten in the past to Marvel, like in their phases?
How
like
so?
Yeah, unpack that.
Yeah,
to that point where we have these moments like in Moon Knight where we see those first couple episodes
Uh-huh.
that we're not sure of.
Right.
That we're like, I don't know if I like this yet. Obviously, you reserve judgments to the end, but in the moment, like you can have your feelings towards it, and they may not always be positive. Eternals, I think it was a miss for all of us. Like things like
I
that.
loved it. I have a poster in my room.
You're welcome.
But like, do you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah.
or no? No,
Sort of.
No,
you said yes, but-
yeah.
I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, just
In the recent times, like
uh-huh.
we've had Eternals that hasn't been very successful. I know
Mhm.
that some people have been complaining about the Marvel shows not being as good. I know we like it,
Yeah.
but I feel like so much before, like
Was impeccable.
Pre Endgame was so great
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay, I see what
that
you're
it's
talking
like
about now.
it's so like stacked, like hit after hit after hit,
Yeah.
that it's like there's different things now that we may not necessarily love for like it's not love at first sight
Right.
for all of
Yeah,
us.
yeah. I got it. At first I thought you were talking about just Marvel as a whole, but you mean like that period right before Endgame.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Mhm.
I think it starts with what's the second one? The second Spider-Man movie? Or is
Oh,
it even
Far From Home?
Far From Home?
No,
That's right
it's
after.
post-Endgame.
That's post Endgame.
Oh,
So
that's
it starts with Homecoming then.
Mm-hmm.
I think from Homecoming on, every movie's like, I'm like, this is my favorite Marvel
It's
movie.
stacked.
No, this is my
Yeah,
favorite
they
Marvel
all
movie.
were
Wait, because like,
hitting.
well, no, I think since like Civil War, right?
I would say.
I,
Civil
I, you
War.
could back up. I know
Civil
some
War,
people don't
Homecoming.
love Civil War the way I love Civil
Huh?
War. Yeah.
Those people suck.
So yeah, but it's
Don't look at me. It's not me.
okay, but it's definitely an escalation. Gabriel's chin is like on the table, a gasp.
Who does not like that movie?
You know, people are like, "Oh, Winter Soldier is better," which it is as a film, but also sometimes
I understand that, but you don't have to. What?
Yeah,
Civil War did so much.
yeah.
But it's so good.
I mean, there's people who complain
Okay.
again
Yeah.
about anything,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, it's
But,
an
yeah.
Avengers movie. It doesn't
From-
get to be a Captain
From
America
Civil
movie."
War.
Oh, that's the
on,
complaint.
Yeah, that's their primary complaint.
What a complaint to have.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
then-
continue.
Okay, so anyways, yeah, from Civil War on, well, all right,
We were getting. hit
yeah, it was
after
like
hit.
Civil War's amazing, like Homecoming's amazing, Black Panther's amazing,
Thor.
Ragnarok's amazing, you know, Infinity War changed movies forever.
Captain Marvel top 5.
Yeah,
like,
Endgame.
it's crazy.
Yeah, everyone just forgives Captain Marvel because it's like 5 seconds later it's Endgame, you
Yeah.
know. So
Which like maybe smart idea in the long run, I guess.
I guess
You know what? Looking back,
Because if you put that like a couple months before, and that's what you have to like. That's the last thing you know before. Excuse me. Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
That Celsius is acting up.
You're
What
excused.
Celsius? Oh, the one you drank in the intro.
I don't know how time travel works, so I don't know what place it's gonna
Yeah, I think that was moments ago.
be. Okay.
All right. You were saying?
Yeah. So, I think now looking back at it, I was like, man, right before one of the biggest movies ever, not a bad place to put it if that's what you're gonna put out.
Oh, I mean, to answer, I guess your question, I guess we all are coming down from a high
Yeah.
because I mean, from that point, it was like everything is great, but now everyone seems to be looking at Marvel movies with a more critical eye,
Yeah.
all across the board. So I guess yes.
Yeah,
Your
'cause I had-
question is yes.
I had this conversation with a student actually where they were responding to my review of Doctor Strange. They're like, I liked it. I thought it was really good. And then he had like 15 complaints about it. And I was like, but I thought you really liked it. I do. I wish they would just reboot the whole Marvel universe.
That's
What?
That's,
I was like-
a horrible idea.
Yeah, I
That's,
was like,
I mean,
that's
hey,
expensive.
I mean, it's possible. I guess it's possible. I guess what they're doing now.
So you guys have like an average review, and I loved the show. In the end, how did you feel about the end and how it all came, and why did it end up like mid-range for you guys?
5 and 6.
Is
or-
that mid range?
Yeah, like you're all in the sevens, right?
See,
Oh, you said
I-
8.5.
I
Oh, you
said
said
it-
8.5.
I said
No,
8.5.
that's a high rate. That's almost a
I was
9.
about to-
No, I apologize.
I
I
feel
guess
like
mine
sorry.
is
Link threw out 3 ratings, so I
is
just felt.
7.5 mid range.
Yeah, that's
That's
mid-range.
mid.
It's
I
average.
disagree.
Okay.
You think it's bad?
I think it's above
I
average.
evaluate.
You think 7.5 is above average?
I evaluate things for a living. The average is literally
Our
7.5.
grading system in this country is
75%.
flawed.
I'm gonna go with the teacher though. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, like again.
No, I think if you
it's
go on
subjective.
Rotten Tomatoes and like you're fresh as long as you're passing
Yeah.
over 60, but
I
you're
don't know.
passing with
I
a
guess
D.
it's my horrible
You know?
scale. Guys, it was above average.
Okay.
Mid.
I think for me, like maybe why I don't give it a 9 is I feel like a 9 for me is obviously that close to a 10. I feel like you've got to like
Oh,
Have
it's-
me the whole
it's
way.
still 2 points away.
I feel like you gotta
9.5
have, but the thing is, you gotta have me
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole way.
Yeah.
I feel like
Okay, so this is what I feel. What the whole thing as a package does have me the whole way.
and you
Because-
know what? You're right. So maybe I have to rewatch. maybe I have
Rewatch
to
the whole
binge.
thing. Yeah, I
Maybe
agree.
I have to do it in
And
a binge to really see the connection, see how it all
Yeah.
goes, and then
I'll
reassess.
tell you a couple of things. I had complaints. We just said right before the spoiler conversation that we love that opening shot, right? The glass
Mhm.
in the shoes, right? And then I was complaining for the next 4 weeks that it doesn't play into anything except a sound effect. Like we never see his feet bleed. We never see him feel discomfort. So like it was just a cool shot. Like, and I was like annoyed by it. You would hear it when he walks and it never paid off until the finale.
Yeah.
Right? When he's in and it bleeds one reality into the other one.
Exactly.
And I was like,
Stuff
beautiful.
that.
The
Yeah.
opening shot. It's almost the end shot of the
Like
6
a
hour journey.
beautiful knot
Is-
coming together.
Is this your favorite Marvel show? Marvel show?
I think so. Maybe I'd have to rewatch. I think I have to rewatch Loki and this, but I think so because here's I had expectations. I thought like what you said. This is gonna be Daredevil for Moon Knight, and I got a completely
You
different
got
show,
something else, but it was
and I'm
still-
kind of happy about it
Mhm.
because I didn't need another Daredevil show.
I already have.
Yeah, and to me, this show takes place. There's a couple of other complaints I had throughout the show. We got to episode 4, it was over, and we hadn't seen this origin, and I was so mad that Moon Knight's origin is basically expository dialogue. You really want to know? I'm the Avatar of Khonshu. I was dying, and I was like, we're seriously not gonna see the origin, like, because the plot keeps moving forward without it until they do it in episode 5.
He's like already established but unknown, but like they give you the origin, but they just tell you about
They
it.
just tell you about it, and I thought we were gonna be stuck like that because it was a month into the show and there's only 6 weeks.
And that's the thing I think with the week to week, especially
Mhm.
for this one, you're dragging 7 days with the thought of like what you saw last.
Exactly.
You have so many
Really
things going on in
long.
your mind. Obviously, you're fighting expectations. You're going through all these things. In a binge, man, like you don't have time.
Mhm.
You don't have time to think like, oh, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Like it's already up. You're already experiencing. You're taking in the whole thing, which I think is it for this show. I think it's one of those things where like you get to open the present at the end. You truly have to wait till Christmas morning
Yeah.
instead of getting all these amazing like for it to make sense week to week.
Yeah.
It's part of a puzzle. The pieces of a puzzle.
You know what?
Yeah.
You convinced me. I am just gonna watch every Disney Plus show like that binge. I'm not gonna watch it weekly.
Yeah, we do the reviews a week after they're done anyway,
So might as well do it, except for Obi-Wan, obviously.
Ye-
Um,
we're gonna have to start a different chat though
no,
without you
except
for.
yeah, you can start.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I couldn't, man. Like,
No,
I can't watch it like this.
I was feeling
I
the
feel-
same way.
I
I
feel the same-
almost quit on it. I almost just stopped watching.
I feel like that for every Disney
You know what,
MCU show.
man? I don't think I was gonna quit on it, but I did feel like, man, I don't even care. Like I wasn't watching. I stopped watching it the same
I
day it
wasn't
came
watching
out.
it the same day.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I know I gotta watch it because I know we're gonna do an episode on it.
Oh, the God of Thunder's here.
But that's the thing.
Jericho.
I did not like because that's why I was like, oh, I'm not watching this day of whatever.
Yeah.
I missed 4 and 5. No, I had missed 2 weeks. I had missed 3 and 4,
Uh-huh.
and then I watched them all the day 5 came out.
Oh,
I
that's
watched
good.
it.
Oh, that's
So I
good. You
wa-
got lucky.
So I
Oh, yeah,
watched.
because that's a good back
Yeah.
half.
So I
right?
was catching up. So it was 3, and I was like, okay, 4. Oh, okay, and then 5, and I'm like, oh my god.
I want to get Link's reaction to the end of 4, the sanitarium and the hippo. What were your thoughts?
I'm like, what? What is this? What is it, an Animal Crossing character? Honestly, it left me like so confused.
I agree, and
I was like-
I was. This is when I was
I
like,
was disappointed. I'm like, what is this?
What-
You don't answer any. You should keep on putting more
Adding
questions
yes,
in my
thank you,
mind.
Link.
Questions.
Yes,
More questions.
more
And-
questions.
and it-
And I was like, 2 weeks, 2 weeks,
2 weeks exactly. I have no what.
and I was like, okay, it
But
got
they
weird.
followed up next week. The
Yeah.
following week.
After-
Oh,
yeah.
finally.
Yeah,
Episode 5 had a
Episode
like,
lot
five
that
and
of work.
6
yeah.
it gets
Nah,
better.
I mean,
yeah.
I texted you guys. For me, I think episode 5 is the best
I think
episode
so,
in,
too.
in Marvel television.
I think so too.
I agree.
Wow, that's that's
yeah,
high
you
praise.
said that,
but-
and I didn't understand why.
Because I like right now. You
Oh.
still don't understand it.
no.
okay, so
What
4
was, what was your favorite episode in Marvel?
exactly.
I
You
don't
can't
What-
think of
then
one.
what do you?
It's a standout episode. It does so
I don't
much.
even
It's almost like a movie.
Dude,
Just
it does a lot of work.
it does. It uplifts 4 episodes.
Yeah, but in some
before it.
exactly, it ties those in. But I think
Everything.
it also
It answers almost all the questions.
it answers questions, but it also brings something fresh and new to the MCU.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, because
And that's why I was just like, what am I watching right now? Is this still Marvel television? Because
Mm-hmm.
there's still a piece. Like when I watch Marvel TV, it's like, okay, these aren't movies. Like for example, when I watch The Mandalorian,
Yeah.
I'm getting a new piece of the Star Wars universe every week. Something that like I'm so ecstatic about. I don't necessarily feel that way about Marvel, just because obviously they're 2 different properties. But I think that the way that the story structures are set up and the way that the connection I have to the universe is different in that sense.
Mhm.
So with Moon Knight, it's kind of like I was so ecstatic to be a part of that. Like when I watched episode 5 and what they did, their take on what they were presenting and talking about, I thought it was something fresh and
You
new.
have to refresh my mind because I have no idea what you're talking about.
The part where he goes back into his past.
Yeah, they got all the memories. They do his abusive childhood,
Mm-hmm.
how he forms the second personality.
You thought it was mid, huh?
Don't. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it was great. Oh, okay. First
don't
of
know
all,
why.
Oscar Isaac. I think this is the episode
acted his
where he is
butt
on
off.
display, where you can see the 3 personalities on display. I don't know if you guys caught that. Yeah. Emergent. It's emergent and subtle, and the show still hasn't revealed it to us. And it sucks kind of that we live in this world where we are constantly being spoiled and fed and everything. Because even the whole Jake thing, I think, is something that everybody was waiting for. And let's be honest, most of us didn't even know about the third personality going into the show, except that the internet told us about it, you know? So that the ending of 6, if you do it in a vacuum where like someone's not telling you about the Jake personality, that reveal is epic.
It's awesome.
You know, it's an epic, it's super strong. The fact that he's a Hispanic version, like
Bro, I didn't even know. Like, I had heard I heard the name. I didn't know who that was.
yeah.
I didn't know it was another personality.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I
Okay,
I
you
had
thought
heard the
another
name. That's the thing, man. I wasn't really like active on Twitter, so I wasn't really paying attention, so I wasn't really reading that stuff. So for me, that was a surprise.
That's another thing about Moon Knight, the cultural representation on the show. It was a big controversy that he wasn't Jewish. In episode 5, it's finally revealed that Marc is Jewish. Steven is British, culturally. He's made up, but, you know. And then now we have Jake, who in the comics is from New York, you know. He's a cab driver. But he speaks Spanish, so he's Hispanic, apparently, which is beautiful because it reflects the actor, Oscar Isaac.
I did like that.
We finally get a Hispanic actor, but he's playing a Jewish character with a British personality who now can like tap into that Hispanic, you know, heritage that he has. We got American Chavez, you know, the same week in Doctor Strange. This has been a big complaint, a lot of Hispanic characters. So it's beautiful that this character can have like one, you know, cultural history, but be representative of so many things, especially like with Layla in the final episode. She has that little moment where like, are you an Egyptian superhero?
Yeah, I thought
Yes.
that was awesome.
Yeah.
That part was cool.
The thing, like going back to Oscar Isaac and his performance, he's so good that you can tell. Like, and I'm not even talking about when he's literally split up in 2 people and you see it 2 people.
Right.
I'm speaking like when they switch
In
in
the
between.
doctor's office, right?
When he's just like when Steven comes out or when Mark comes out, his facial expressions, his mannerism, his body language, you can tell like he transforms into a different person.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so. I was so excited. I was so happy to see that.
This show is Marvel Fight Club,
Yeah.
except Oscar Isaac is playing Jack and Tyler Durden.
And just beating up CGI ancient animals.
Let's talk about that. There's a couple of flaws, I think, in the Egyptian story along the journey. It feels like the avatars for the other Egyptian deities are kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Like there's clearly a plot here against Khonshu and they just don't see it. I'm going to tell you something that I believe. And again, this is why it's a 9 for me, and it might be a hot take, and I might be wrong. I might be proven incredibly wrong because I've gone back and forth with my wife about this for a really long time. I don't trust anything that happened on this show. I don't believe that any of it has been confirmed to me that has happened. Marc is insane. And I think that in the final episode, when the show ends the show becomes so grounded and becomes about like insanity, and then the final battle is like a giant alligator fighting a giant, just Khonshu, right? The what is he, a dead bird? And like the show goes so far off the rails because I feel like it was starting to get grounded, and then the show goes crazy. But that reality starts to bleed into the clinic. There clearly really is a clinic, right? By the end of the
'cause
show.
you see it at the end.
And there clearly really is a Moon Knight. But parts of both narratives ring hollow and don't make sense to me. So which one is it? And I believe that there's an argument that even if the events that took place on the main show did, that we have his perspective on it.
I can kind of see that, like with us, obviously with Khonshu inhabiting his body, you would see, like, you can kind of see it from the point of view where, like, everyone's against me.
Yeah.
No one's on my side,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why he's so antagonistic, and that's why he's so vengeful.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he's just like, that's how sometimes it could seem to a person who's not necessarily right in the head,
Yes.
or has too many people thinking in that same body, where it's like, why is no one listening to me? Are you guys this dumb? Are you guys this stupid? And it's to them, it's obvious. To somebody else, like, which is a pretty interesting point that you bring up, and I'm thinking about it now, about it being from that point of view, and maybe that's gonna be my headcanon from now. I got to do a rewatch, so, but I think that's a very good point.
Has anyone heard the criticism about the two hearts and the balancing, which is like probably the pivotal plot point?
No.
Okay, so Jake is clearly embodying his mind from the very beginning of the show. We have those moments where neither Steven nor Marc are in control, right? Just brutal murders taking place off screen, right? A flash happens. They argue about who's in charge. Neither of them take credit. Clearly, Jake was part of the narrative the whole time, correct?
Is it like Jake is the mercenary?
Yeah, Jake
is mercenary Marc, like,
well, no, I think Marc is mercenary. I
he
think
has
Jake
he has
is
those
brutal killer.
he has those skills, but like,
Yeah.
to be, that's what I'm saying, like, Marc had to create Jake to, I mean,
Exactly.
I'm sure we'll get to that point, but Marc had to create Jake in order to commit such atrocities that he had to do to become a
Absolutely.
mercenary.
Almost the opposite of Steven. If Steven is the innocent one, which, going back to, we talked about the accent, now that we acknowledge that, because I knew the meta inspiration for the voice, I was okay with it. There were complaints. They didn't like the voice. Turns out by episode 5, the voice is made up. It's based on a caricature of a film that he came up with, like, that he, replicated as a child, which is why the voice is not good.
8.7. I mean, 8.7.
Okay, we're
Oh,
climbing.
yeah,
We're climbing now.
Because,
We're
I
not
mean,
allowed to add
Yeah,
0.7.
we
You're
don't-
right. That makes so much sense.
That's
Like,
still-
He's
I
a
mean,
little
fine.
kid pretending to do a fake British
because
accent
he's
for a
American and
fake-
he's pretending, and that
Yeah.
makes so much sense. I think the only thing that I was confused is, like, is no one gonna, which I guess is intentional, no one's gonna comment on this guy's accent?
Well, because
Like-
I think, again, if his inspiration
Well,
is
if
an
you
idiot, an idiot abroad, this guy just has a funny.
But as an,
Accent.
I guess, I don't know how it is for
He's a guy who
Americans.
speaks perfect British English, but just with a weird accent. We meet American accent people all the time. That they
Yeah,
just
like,
sound
that's,
funny.
I guess that's what, I don't know what it is, like, if an American lives, like, moves to Britain and lives there,
Right.
obviously he's gonna pick up the cultural slang and how people speak, but
He'll have
the
an
accent, obviously the accent was, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, and there's regional accents too, and all that. I mean, it's just like us, with different. So he made up this persona, Steven, as a child, right? This like fake British kid that he is, and then there's Jake, who he created to be able to do what he couldn't bring himself to do.
Man, that's the two sides of Marc.
Yeah.
I really like that.
And the balancing of the heart kind of doesn't make sense if there's a third person.
So, do you have an explanation? Or
My
is this just a
explanation,
big
my
plot hole?
headcanon, I don't think it's a plot hole. I think they know what they're doing. I think all of that is just made up. I think that Marc is unaware there is a Jake. That's clear, right?
Oh,
in
yeah.
the show.
He doesn't
Okay,
know who did.
okay,
He doesn't know
yeah.
who did that.
So in his narrative of balancing his heart, of coming to terms with his two personas, he's so broken. That's what Khonshu says. He's so broken he doesn't know how far gone he is. Marc thinks that he's free.
You think this is like a similar situation to what we saw in the Joker, with him making all that stuff up, and like we take
What-
it as reality,
Yes.
but then they actually show us, like, yeah, no, he made all that up.
Okay, so I think it's pretty definitive in the Joker because they go back and they show you like, not there, wasn't there, didn't happen.
Well, yeah, because they show us, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, it could, in your headcanon,
It
is
could
that
be.
what's, is that
It
something?
could be.
Man,
it
I
could
actually
be.
really like that because
Bec-
that makes sense.
Look, this is the linchpin for me. Again, going back to episode 1, going right back to the beginning. Every time I wake up,
Mhm.
right? When Marc realizes that the world he lives in the asylum, is not real because the shoe is bleeding one world bleeding into the other. He snaps himself into, I guess, a self-induced coma, right? And he wakes up right where we started on the show, the very beginning. Same bedroom, tied down. There's one fish with two fins. When Marc wakes up, there's a fish with one fin. No, I'm sorry, the other way around. When Marc wakes up, when Steven wakes up, his fish has one fin only, right? And he asks what happens. He goes to try to find out, right? The explanation is that like Marc swapped them out, right? So Marc has one fish. Steven has the other fish. When he wakes up, there's two fish in the fish tank. They coexist. The two fishes. Where did they come from? One was exchanged at the pet shop for the other. When did they buy? How can he just go back to the beginning of the show? How can he just go back into his bedroom in his mind? Where is he waking up? Because the bedroom only existed in the real world for us so far in the show, assuming that was the real world.
You might have just bumped up the show for me.
That's why I love it. That's why I love it. Because I think there's serious questions how reliable anything that we saw
I wasn't
was.
going to do a rewatch, but now I am. And I'm going to, wow. You know what?
And that's why I'm definitely like, it's a binge, because you got to circle back from 6 to 1. I had a bunch of complaints.
Not 6.
That was like, this hasn't been no, this hasn't been addressed. This hasn't been addressed. This hasn't been addressed. And I feel like that ending circles it backwards.
I gotta watch it.
The asylum exists.
Yeah, I gotta watch it again.
The asylum exists in both worlds, right? It's completely imaginary, we assume, right? In the conversations in the office. But at the end of the show, Harrow
Gets picked up.
it gets picked up from the asylum. So the asylum is real. There is an asylum, right? And it's apparently in Mexico.
I don't know about that.
I didn't.
They're speaking Spanish.
Everyone? Oh, like the nurse?
Yeah.
that's true.
Maybe it's in Miami.
That's also true. Okay.
Leon
No,
Medical
I
Centers.
think there was a visual cue. Again, I have to rewatch it. I only saw it once. I think there's a visual cue that it's in Mexico. I don't know if it's a title or a sign or something.
They put the yellow filter over.
So explain that for
That was good,
someone.
man.
The Breaking Bad
Oh.
always put a heavy. Well, most shows put a heavy yellow filter.
When
on.
we go to
Yeah,
Mexico,
when we go to
should we expect that next season on Cobra Kai?
Hell yeah.
Okay, I'm
Call
glad that
it-
you're ecstatic
Call
about
it
it.
right now.
Yellow filter
What is
season
it? Season 4? This is season 5.
5,
Wow.
and there will be a 6.
Season 5 will have a yellow filter when they go to Mexico.
Okay,
Is post production racist?
I don't know why they do that.
Is
I-
color correcting racist?
I'm gonna call it right now too. Season 6 of Cobra Kai will have a part 1 and 2.
Oh, you're probably
Yeah,
right.
season 5 might do it. They bumped it up.
No, they bumped up the episode count.
No, they bumped up.
The date.
Like,
The-
you know
the
how they
date,
usually come
yeah.
out. You know how they usually come out New Year's.
New Year's, yeah.
Come out September or something like that.
Okay. But going back, that epic moment at the end of episode 5 where they play that song
Bruh.
that we have a very deep cultural history with
Bruh.
as Hispanic Protestants of a particular tradition, all right? Más allá del sol, it plays in Spanish. Why? Why in Spanish?
Ah, man, that's a good question.
Because of the asylum.
I gotta rewatch this show.
Did you like read something or did you
I
figure
have
this
not
all out?
I have not listened or read to anyone's opinion on this show. I don't even know what people think about
So
it.
this is all.
and you haven't rewatched this?
I have not rewatched this
I gotta give you props.
Why
This
is your
is well
memory
thought-
so
This
good?
is well
Why
thought
is your
out.
memory so good?
because I went into the finale with all of these complaints because I love that moment at the end of 5 and I was like, I like it and I can relate it, but I have qualms why it's even here. Okay, it's a beautiful song about the afterlife, but like this is the Egyptian Field of Reeds. Why is the song in Spanish? Why is it,
Oh.
why is it a song from our time period? Like I went into the finale with a checklist of complaints that I had about this show, and the show for the last episode just went bam, 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 answered all of them.
It's true, because it wouldn't even make sense. Why is a Jewish character
Yeah.
like, thinking of a Spanish song like
Mhm. I thought, it's a cool song, and also Oscar Isaac's Hispanic. Maybe it's a throwback to that. No, it actually makes sense.
I see why it's a 9 for you.
Maybe it's being played in the hospital.
that's
Yeah,
that's what I
that's
think. That's what I think. I think that's what's going on, and even the narrative that we understand as the main story is just a mental cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I can see it.
Now, the scene at the end with Jake kicking the wheelchair, which is hilarious, by the way, kicking the wheelchair, explaining that Marc is broken, showing that Harrow is dead. We assume that that is real. Otherwise, that scene, how does it make any sense, right? We assume that that's real. So perhaps not to invalidate the totality of the show, because this was one gripe that my wife had when I was like, this is what I think the show is. She's like, oh, but if the whole show was made up, then doesn't it like kill the story? Yes and no. I think no, because I think it's Marc's journey in both imagined worlds. But I do think that there's a place for the events of the show to have taken place, not from the perspective with all the imaginary stuff that we saw from Marc's perspective.
The events have a filter on them.
Exactly. So I think they could go either way with it. And the fact that I walked
Layla isn't real.
Well, Layla's in the asylum. Well, Layla's in the asylum, though.
Superhero Egyptian god Layla isn't real.
Yeah, probably not. I think he really wants her to be
And if that's the
an
case,
equal.
you have a grounded show, Danny. Bro, Danny's bewildered right
Yo,
now.
I wish this was a video.
Is this
show.
the most?
Because I actually just had my mouth open. Wow. Wow.
Now we're going to go home, rewatch it,
I'm not.
and realize that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up.
Nah, it's
Oh
just
man,
crazy.
George's theory sucks.
But we're going to rewatch it.
Now I kind of have to.
Because there was too many questions at the end of the finale. Like, not bad questions. We're like, what happens next? But it was like, the bleeding foot was like, oh, this is a visual cue that you really wanted us to gravitate, and we don't have an answer for it yet. We have to draw our own
And
answers.
man, this is the thing. If you say with most of what you said is right, I can see why Feige said what he said
What'd he say?
about it like being the most not necessarily pushing the PG-13 boundary, but them being like ambitious and very different.
Oh,
than
yes,
they're used
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Because
That-
that makes sense.
That quote starts to make sense for sure. Because that's
Because it's like
Elaborate.
then it's like, man, then you're treating the audience with
A level of sophistication?
like
Oh,
you're
I
not
love
making
it.
you're not thinking that they're dumb or
You don't have
like,
to spell it out. You don't have to explain it. You can leave it
Exactly.
open. You could not interpret it that way.
like because if it ends up being true, then I'm gonna feel like an idiot, and then it's like whatever. I'm better off for it because it's like when I see stuff, like I pride myself in being able to read between the lines to see maybe what's coming down the pipe, but half of what you said about like the way you took it,
Yeah.
because you're right. Some stuff I enjoyed the show, but some stuff I was like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
What I don't even really understand that. Man, I was like, but I guess it'll be explained to me later.
yeah. And maybe I'm right and maybe I'm wrong, but the fact that there's area for interpretation,
is
I have a
nice.
rationale
It's not definitive.
for what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not definitive. And word is that there is no season 2. They might go for it, but apparently Oscar Isaac isn't signed for a season 2.
He's not. Yeah, he's not contractually obligated. to
Exactly.
show up again.
So that means they made this show under the assumption that there is no season 2. Now they could revisit, and there's ways that you can go, but the fact that these questions that you might walk out of it might not be answered, I think it's kind of beautiful.
I think it's great. Is
Man.
so is Mark Spector just a dude? So this whole time he's been in the asylum, right? He's not just gonna be some dude that makes a costume and like that's just what he thinks. Do you know what I'm saying? or
Yeah.
not? Like
I don't know, man.
Is he just crazy? Like he's all that crazy stuff is in his head, but is he really just a guy that puts on his like? Is he really just a guy that puts on a suit and beats on criminals?
Yeah.
I kind of really like that. Though.
You could go that way. You could go
Because
that
that
way.
would be sick. Because
So I can just.
like all that country stuff,
Yeah.
in your head.
Exactly.
So it can be the grounded story. I really.
Yeah, it's
want.
what-
Oh, there's
that's what I
another
said.
one. There's
So-
another one. There's another one. The bird. The dead bird that in episode 5 when his brother dies. It looks like Khonshu. So the dead bird was in his subconscious on the way to the river or wherever he drowns
The cave.
before he ever meets Khonshu, before he ever dies. The image of the skeletal corpse bird, he sees it years and years before he'll ever die and give up his soul to this bird deity.
Dude, you're blowing my mind.
Do you think?
And I hope Moon Knight doesn't show up anywhere else. I swear. I hope. I don't know if they have the restraint, but I hope you don't see him again. Go ahead.
Dude, if this
Do
is
you
it,
think
I'm
that-
satisfied.
Do you think that man, my question. So that whole stuff in the desert with Layla's dad, that didn't happen?
See, I don't know. I don't have that answer. Maybe it did. Not in the way that, maybe Marc.
Because I feel like maybe Marc actually ended up just like Jake murdered everyone.
exactly.
And that broke him into making an excuse for himself. And
Exactly.
thinking, this Egyptian god Khonshu came and inhabited me.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a place where that happened in the desert, but not in the way that we've been told, because Marc is an unreliable narrator. You cannot trust Marc's series of events, and we should have known that from the first episode, because the man is not awake half the time. He's not in control, and he's not even aware of this third personality that is driving portions of the narrative.
And I think that makes sense, because in the MCU, I feel like we're kind of like, they kind of hold us hand in hand. They kind of guide us and walk us
Yeah.
through their stories. But they don't really leave it like, let you decide for yourself what necessarily is happening. They don't give you that really that choice.
Because
And it doesn't necessarily always fit. Like, that's
Yeah.
not like that. They're not. It's not that they're trying to avoid it, but like, that's just their intention. Like, that's not where the story wants to go. But I think doing something like this actually is definitely opened my eyes and definitely gave me stuff to do a rewatch.
I mean, that just makes you think. So, what do you think in the pipeline for the future? Like, you think the rest of these shows are going to be as ambitious?
No.
I mean, simple answer.
Yeah,
I guess.
I feel
no.
like you can't have too many of these
I think
shows.
we have something special. And I think it's going to be a different vision. What's in the pipeline?
What's next? Because I actually have no idea.
Oscar Isaac in the Batman 2.
I know Echo.
She-Hulk?
Isn't She-Hulk?
No, next is Miss Marvel,
Oh, yeah.
and then
Well,
is
that's
She-Hulk.
not going to be ambitious.
No, I think that's gonna
I
be.
don't know, changing a superhero's powers.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll see how it goes. I think there's a version of it that'll work and be
I
palatable.
think I'll binge it, to be honest.
That's probably a good
You know
plan.
what? I could actually wait
You
for
know
the
what?
end of that one.
Yeah, I think so. She-Hulk could be good. I don't know. They're gonna break the fourth wall. Is it gonna be comedy? Is Star Fox gonna be in it? I don't know. They could go a couple of different ways. That would be nice.
Who? Harry?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. Because that character's in like the, I want to say Greg Rucka run of She-Hulk. That book is a really funny book, and it's a real fun book. I don't know what like tone they're gonna go for it. That's what I want. I want all these series to be. Listen, I think Miss Marvel's gonna be like teen adventure, like finding yourself, identity, like she's Muslim, she's a girl, all that stuff. That's fine. Let that show be that show. I think She-Hulk could be like a really funny series. I don't know if that's where they're gonna go because we don't know anything about it, but I think it should be. I think they should try to get a different tone with all these shows because they can experiment because they already have your money, bro. You already have Disney Plus. You're on the hook. You're gonna watch it. I feel like the Marvel movies have a pattern that they're all filling out, and they're all selling the next movie. I think that was kind of our gripes with Doctor Strange last week. That it's like this movie servicing the next movie, and like everything's connected, so it doesn't serve itself. Like Moon Knight's the opposite of that. It's not
I
connected
will
to anything.
say the director, I think it was, said that there was planned cameos, but they took them out. And
Yeah.
I'm glad for that.
Yeah.
I like a story that feels separated from the rest of the MCU.
Mhm.
I feel like that was really needed for like a breath of fresh air.
I think it's almost like we need the opposite of everything is connected now.
Yeah.
No, I got nothing to say, man. I'm just still thinking about Moon Knight. Wow.
Yeah, I'm never gonna watch a show weekly. I'm just gonna wait for it to finish.
we broke it. We
Yeah,
ruined it.
honestly, what's the point?
So does Netflix?
I don't even know how you're. I don't even know how you're
model
able to
work?
remember this.
Well,
I think business wise and artist wise
No,
is a different
right?
commercial.
when it comes to remembering things, I think we have a slight advantage over you, Link.
Why? Oh,
I feel like he just never remembers
Never
a lot
remember
of things
any,
that he sees.
yeah. He's like, did I watch Moon Knight? What happened with it?
I don't know. You're making me think I didn't even watch
So
Moon
Link,
Knight.
still for you. I know you don't remember some of it, but still you're sticking with your mid rating?
Oh no, it goes up.
Really? I wasn't expecting that at all.
No.
Yeah, I was
thought he was
expecting
gonna
nope.
fight it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it now?
It changes.
What do you think it
I
is
don't know. I
now?
have to rewatch it. Am I gonna rewatch it? No.
That's kind of
I could
what
respect
expected.
it.
Yeah. Oh, there we
That's a
go.
Link
There's the
answer,
link.
yeah.
You know what? You leave it up to fate, and
Yeah.
that'll be that.
Up into interpretation.
Okay, so how does this rank among the other shows?
I don't know. You threw me for a loop.
No, I don't know,
I
man. This
thought
might
I
be
had
the
a
best
ranking,
one.
but
I really enjoy Hawkeye, man.
I loved Hawkeye.
I love
I
Hawkeye,
love the
too.
Christmas. I love the grounded. It was like a PG-13 Daredevil.
I thought it was nice.
You know, so I like it was grounded. It was realistic. You know,
They're two of my
no
favorite characters in
superpowers.
the MCU.
Except Kingpin, he had superpowers for some reason. But
I thought Haley Steinfeld. I thought Haley Steinfeld was great.
yo,
Pizza
And
Dog.
then you bring back
Yelena.
Yelena. It's two of my faves, so-
Hawkeye was good.
Hawkeye's probably my top show. Right now.
Loki. Okay, Loki had this thing with the multiverse thing. I kind of got annoyed with all the different Lokis because like we had kind of complained about the dead Loki, but
Why does every multiverse story in the MCU do the different variants
Of the sa-
differently? I don't.
because it's cheaper. You hired one guy, you make him act 4 times. What?
I wish
And
we
when
saw
you want to change it, just make him
Man,
into a girl and fall in love with himself.
I wish we would have seen different people play Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah,
I
right.
guess that's a personal gripe.
Because in Loki, you get like 4 different actors as Loki,
Yeah.
but you also get Loki 4 times.
Exactly. Like it would have been cool to see like original comic Strange like come to life.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Patrick Dempsey as Doctor Strange.
Bruce Campbell as Doctor Strange.
Ryan Gosling as Doctor Strange.
Ian McGrufford as the other doctor.
Jared Leto
That
as all the doctors. Doctor Who. Luke Skywalker.
he was in the movie, right?
Yeah. Don't tell.
Oh, sorry,
the
spoilers.
If you haven't
Spoilers.
seen it.
Sorry.
That's strange.
Multiverse of Madness.
Vader comes out. It's crazy.
Okay, so what's in the future? What does this show say about? I know you wanted to talk about Daredevil. What is this show? You thought going into the show, this will show us what Daredevil on Disney Plus could be like?
Yeah, I don't need another Daredevil.
Okay,
I'm satisfied.
I think Daredevil should be a supporting character. I think
I agree.
I would like Matt Murdock to be in a courtroom on She-Hulk.
Matt Murdock's gonna be the new
He's
night
gonna
nurse.
be. He's gonna be in.
He's
it.
gonna be in She-Hulk
He's
for
gonna
sure.
be
Yeah,
She-Hulk,
for sure.
yeah.
I think Matt Murdock's gonna be the new night nurse.
Daredevil's gonna be an Echo for sure.
No, he's gonna be.
Right.
No.
He's the new night nurse, dog. I'm
You don't think so?
telling you.
No, yeah. I just don't think he should be a background character. I think he should be an actual. Either give him a
Like-
show or his movie. However, it just.
I don't think he should get another show.
I'm
man.
scared of him
always
getting
gonna-
another show because I don't think Disney
It
Plus.
will be
Yeah,
as
I'm
good,
gonna
right?
compare
Would be
it
as good.
to.
Oh,
Yeah.
what? Unless you get the whole crew back together. Unless you
But
literally-
even
who do you
even
get?
then-
Which
because you
cr-
can make that same show. You do not need
But who-
like love scenes and decapitations. That's
even-
not what makes
No, I
Daredevil
think,
a good show.
No, I
But yeah,
think
but-
you.
But even then, who do you bring back from that show? Do you bring the showrunner from season 3, or do you bring the showrunner from season 1?
No,
No, you bring the
listen,
showrunner for season 3.
Listen, you get
Please.
Ben Affleck.
No,
you
but
get
he-
Jennifer Garner.
Drew Goddard is the
Charlie
one that
Cox.
sold the
All of
whole.
them.
He created all that.
But then he was gone.
Yeah,
And
you
season
can
3
bring
is.
him. You can bring him back. You can also be. He still
Oh,
be
bro,
good.
you could bring back whichever one is good because season 1 was
Yeah.
amazing and season 3 was, I think, better even. But yeah, whatever, man, whoever.
Season 3 was.
Does
wow.
the writers' room change? It's the same people.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. You try to assemble a team as close as you can
I'm
to
just
the
scared.
original show.
I
But
hope
you
they
think
don't
you can
touch it.
you think you can make it again?
You
I'm
think you
not-
can capture that
Because
lightning?
here's my problem. Like, I feel like all the Disney Plus shows have been good. That's it. Good. I'm still on.
That's
I'm
fair.
still.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fair.
still. I'm still deciding this one.
Yeah.
But I
I
think
mean, I
they've all
disagree.
been.
I love Hawkeye.
I know. I love Hawkeye. Hawkeye's my favorite out of all of them. I think they've been good. I don't think they've been great. I've seen a great Marvel show in Daredevil. I have not seen that. I
don't-
haven't seen something that good.
You don't
And
think
I'm
it has to
scared.
do with like being an adult show, like being like there's no limits to that show versus like the Disney Plus shows have to be PG-13, you know?
And that's why I'm scared of them
Yeah,
making it.
that's
'Cause
why
would they be
I'd
able to
rather
make
just-
something like
yeah.
that?
I'd rather they just not try.
But I also don't want to see the character in the background. I want him to give him a movie.
I'd-
Give him something.
I think he could be like the Mandalorian in Book of Boba Fett. I think if he comes and he gets like 2 episodes
I'll
of
take that.
Echo,
And
I'll
just
take that.
overshadows the
Yeah.
main character
And you
completely. You don't care about the main character at all.
I think Echo's already over though. in a way that Boba Fett wasn't. Because even though we love Boba Fett, the Boba Fett we got on the show was not the Boba Fett we're all in love with.
Bro, if Daredevil
People
comes
are-
out, if
wait.
Daredevil comes out in Echo, I
No, he's gonna come out in Echo.
will not.
He has to.
He has to.
It's gonna overshadow it.
Yeah, but Daredevil's not going to come like Mando and be like, hey, Echo, you're out of the show for 3
Here's
weeks.
2 episodes.
What's
of
beautiful
me.
about Echo is her relationship with Daredevil. She could be the new Elektra.
No,
No.
no, thank you.
Oh.
They can each
I don't
play
know.
their own role.
No, what do you mean?
You can have an Electra. You can have an Echo. You
No, Elektra's dead. I'm saying like fill that role.
Okay, Electra. You know Electra's not dead.
Yeah. Okay. So what?
Oh, what happens here?
What do you
Multiverse?
mean?
We grab another
No,
Electra?
Is
no.
it-
okay.
is it-
You know
is-
what? Cancel Marvel.
Is it another?
Reboot. That kid was
Reboot,
right.
yeah, reboot
Reboot the
In
Marvel.
your minds, is it another Matt Murdock, or is it the same one we got
no,
from Netflix?
I don't want to have this
Hey,
conversation.
I'm out
This
of here.
is-
I'm out of here. I'm tapping out.
I don't want to.
Uh-huh.
It's not.
This-
It's no fun.
All right.
No.
I feel like I'm gonna spoil my whole thesis for Continuity.
Multiverse.
I hate the
No,
multiverse.
Daredevil.
I hate the
Ruins everything.
multiverse.
Head-
I hate
head
the multiverse.
canon.
And that is
They
is-
should
right.
never. They should not confirm nor deny that the original show
what they're doing right now.
is canon. Right? They should.
But the
continue.
show is canon though, because they do talk about things that happen in the Avengers.
But that could be another.
But it could be a That's the thing about the multiverse. It
No.
could be
Listen.
like the
Oh my
exact same
goodness.
thing
I
except
hate
for the
it. I
last
hate
5
it.
minutes.
No, no, no.
No, I
I'm
hate
with
it.
you, Link. Listen.
Multiverse
No,
of
because-
Madness is a 3.
no, because Daredevil. I mean, because Punisher is in. I mean, sorry. Kingpin is in the same Kingpin.
But
is
it's a
in,
Yeah, but it could be the same
be a
different.
It could
Bro,
be
I thought the
different.
I thought the Doctor Strange
I hate
in
this. No.
Strange is the one from What If, but it's not.
Okay, listen,
I hate
listen.
all this.
I'm with you, Link. As long as they don't contradict the show, you are free to believe. You are
And
free
to our
to believe
knowledge,
that
they
show is
and
canon.
to our knowledge, they have not.
not.
My
right.
I
heart.
don't even
That
like.
show
I
is
don't
canon.
even like that possibility.
Me neither.
what?
I don't like the.
Oh,
thought.
is it the same? Yeah, I don't like the.
No,
thought.
No,
It's
no, no.
another
It
one?
is the same. Until they contradict, it is canon. There's no reason to believe
Yeah,
it's not.
exactly.
I hurt. I hurt.
Don't say that.
Take
It's
that
a
back.
question I
Wait,
posed
you
because
take
Yeah,
I
that
want to
yeah,
know your
back.
yeah. Why are you
thoughts.
I
pointing
pointed at
me?
George,
Yeah,
but
that was
Take
good.
that back, Gabe.
I'm mad.
I'm not taking anything back. What are you talking
And
about?
Gabe is
that
right.
back.
Gabe is right. Listen, it is Schrodinger's continuity.
Oh.
Okay? Until you open the box, the continuity is either intact or destroyed, and it exists in both states until you can confirm it.
And it's intentional. I think it's I think it's completely intentional what they're doing right now. Obviously, I think if they knew or like they would have told us by now what it is. They would have confirmed it.
Mhm.
I think what they're doing now is fine. And until they confirm that it's the same or it's not, then it's
That-
the same.
It
It's
just
the
it
same
hurt to
character,
hear
man.
It just hurt to hear it.
And it shouldn't. It shouldn't, because we should look at life as a series of choices. We're on a path, and before us, oftentimes, is a fork. On left, there's one continuity. On the right, there's another. But until you take that step, you never know which one you exist in. Moon Knight, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the lives we live in, they exist in both states until you take the step forward and you confirm it. Living in that juncture, in that in between, that space between molecules, that's where our choices affect where we move forward. Sometimes we are very clear the lives we live. Sometimes we live entire lives in our head. Who's to say? Me? You? Search on.